Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Chat with BR Coaches. Last week we started talking about the art of coaching, and the first topic that we attacked was the run as a weakness or as a strength for the athletes, including triathletes, trail runners, road runners, etc. Today, thanks to the presence of BR head cycling coach Bojan, we will attack the cycling. Even though Bojan doesn't need a formal introduction, we have to say that he has a huge experience being a former professional cyclist for more than 10 years, from being best ever cyclist in Serbia, 19 times national champion, and then top 70 on the world ranking list, to being very well known for many podiums here in the local races. So welcome to the show, Bojan.
Hi guys, thank you, and it's nice to be with you today here.
That's great. This is Coach Tommaso.
Yes, Coach João here, guys.
And Coach Mohammed there, remote. So Bojan, welcome to this fourth episode of the second season of the podcast. As soon as we announced that we would be talking about cycling with you, all our athletes went crazy and they started posting questions, so we will try to answer them. But first, we see that cycling in UAE and any type of cycling, from mountain bike to gravel to road to TT, is growing. It's just becoming bigger and bigger, and around the world they're looking at UAE as a place to cycle right now, because we have seen during the lockdown a lot of professionals, they came here to train because it was free, and we have these amazing facilities. But about the topic of cycling, why do you think right now people are focusing on cycling? Why do you think it's becoming so big right now?
I mean, cycling is really popular worldwide, not only in UAE. In UAE, last couple of years, it's growing like really fast, and the community here, cycling and triathlon community, is really huge. We can see that every Friday on Al Qudra, bottom of the stick, how we call it, start of the Al Qudra track. On the parking, so many cars. The parking is small right now. They need to park on the side of the road, and it's growing really fast. And it's a big community, like I said. And cycling is popular. All of us, we started as young ages. This is one of the first toys that we used to have, and we all love it. And now, in the sport, it's really nice sport because it's giving you that part of the freedom. This is how I see the cycling. That's why I like cycling. It's giving you that part of the freedom. You just sit on your bike and you go wherever you want. You explore your surroundings wherever you live. And it's good thing here in UAE because the weather is so nice. Okay, we have really hot summer, but all over the year the weather is nice, and we can ride all the time, almost 12 months in the year outdoor. Okay, we need to wake up really early. It's getting hot during the summer, but it's not like Europe or North America, where it's really cold. You have snow, you have cold wind, and a few months you need to stick to the indoor cycling. But here, like I said, almost 12 months in the year we can be outdoor and ride. That's why that's why it's getting. It's already popular, but it's getting really popular.
Yeah, it's very interesting that to see the booming of the cycling here. I think also the popularity of the sport, seeing that the leaders of the country they also like cycling, Sheikh Mohammed, and so many others starting to see the potential of creating new cycling tracks, and now I think it was announced that Dubai wants to become a cycling friendly city, trying to help people to commute from place to place cycling, which is something completely, when you live in Dubai you see how hard it is even to walk sometimes through the roads, so cycling is going to be a big change for the city. And I want to see if Coach Bojan, as he mentioned that kids, you always start to cycling, and that's your first gift, and everybody has this thing of, do you know how to cycle? When you are young, like a kid. So when you grow, people kind of forget that thing, and then at some point now, it's coming back, and you see people sometimes really now struggling with the coming back to cycle, because they have that image they were kids and now they try to cycle again and they struggle. So how do you see as a coach this process of learning to cycle and then change the gears? Do you see that people struggle a lot, or it's very natural, or they think they know and they don't know?
Yeah, because there are also many people that are starting to cycle here in
Yes.
UAE. It's so easy to go for a ride that, you know, I've met so many people like before, you know, they were not even riding, you know, so they bought the first bike here.
Maybe in Europe they wouldn't start because
yeah,
there's no place to ride properly.
I mean, it's simple. Like everything you do in your life, more you're doing it, it will get easier and easier. But if you're really struggling, there is a lot of cycling now teams, cycling clubs here in Dubai and coaches. And if you need the help, you can easily find the help to help you. These guys can help you with these technical parts of the cycling, like how to sit properly on the bike, how to pedal properly, and how to change the gears, brake, and everything else. And this is really important. We need to learn. We need to learn how to, because here in UAE we are happy because we have closed tracks for cycling. But if one day if you need to go on the street, we need to follow some basic rules of the traffic. You know, we need to keep the right side. Okay, left side if you're Australia, UK, and some countries. But you need to follow some rules. You need to ride in the straight line, and we can see here, especially on Maidan, because Maidan is really Maidan track. It's really close to downtown and close to so many communities and a lot of beginners going there, and we can see there a lot of beginners struggling with those basic things. You know, they're riding zigzag, some of them even riding wrong way, and then you can see a lot of crashes and accidents happening. And it's really important at the beginning you start to learn how to properly ride. Ride in the straight line, of course, don't ride zigzag. Always make sure if someone is coming behind you, you know, move on the right side, proper changing gears. Of course, it will help you to enjoy your ride. And it's really, like I said, really important to learn those things. If you're struggling, then like I said, there is a lot of teams now, clubs, coaching companies, and they can help you to improve, and then you can enjoy your cycling even more.
Including the air.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
Mohammed, how is it in Saudi? Because that's a new reality that is growing big, especially also with your work with BR in Jeddah. And we see the cycling that is becoming big. We have so many athletes now approaching and smashing it in.
Yeah, it's a really growing community. The cyclists are, you know, it's grown a lot in the past 5 years. The Saudi Federation has taken notice, the Saudi Cycling Federation. Unfortunately, there are no cycling tracks like there are in Dubai, and I think that's why it's grown so big in Dubai, because it's safe. Unfortunately, here it's very actually dangerous to ride a bike on the street, but that's not stopping people from cycling. And they've got safety cars behind them, and they're really organized, and they're really trying to be safe and go to places that are outside of the city. But it's definitely growing.
And do you see any movement from the government to build tracks or?
Yes. Absolutely. They're starting in Riyadh, the capital. That's not where I live. I live in Jeddah. Riyadh, they're doing something like 120 kilometers of cycling tracks in this new park.
Where is the park? Where is going to be the park?
It's going to be at a location where the old airport used to be.
Okay.
Big.
Nice. Very
Lot
good.
of space.
Very good.
A lot of space. Good. Sounds good. Let's take 30 seconds break and we come back to this topic about beginners and technique. Okay. See you in 30 seconds.
In order to take you to the next level, we have to know two basic metrics, which is where you are now, your base level, and where you are going, your final goal. For this reason, we create a system called BR stages. The BR stages consist in 4 levels. Number 1, fundamentals. Number 2, skills. Number 3, performance. And finally, specialization.
Back with chat with BR coaches, the topic that Joao brought back is very, very important, because cycling in the end is not complicated. You know, in Italy we say once you learn to cycle, you never forget. But are we sure that we learn to cycle in the proper way? Are we sure that our technique is correct? How important is technique for cycling? We're not talking about leisure, you know, going for a ride with the family. We're talking about, you know, an athlete that is a beginner, but still, you know, he wants to improve, to become a performer. How important is technique for cycling?
I mean, it's really, really important because there is something like cycling efficiency, especially if you're an athlete. Like you heard, a lot of people heard about running efficiency. There is also cycling efficiency. If your cadence is optimal, how you're pedaling, how you're sitting on the bike, and all those things are really, really important, especially if you're an athlete. Doesn't matter if you're doing only cycling on the triathlon. I think in triathlon it's even more important because you're on your own there doing, I don't know, if you're doing half Ironman, you need to do 90 kilometers and you need to be steady, sitting properly on the bike and killing those 90 kilometers. And it's really, really important. Now these days you can see big improvement coming from the bike companies, a lot of new frames, aero frames, and everything else. They're doing everything to build the bikes like super aero, super fast, carbon frames, really light. And then it's really important for the people to, if it's possible for them to do some bike fitting. For the beginning is that very good. You find your proper position on the bike. You find a position where you're pushing a lot of watts. It's not only about aerodynamic. You can be really good at aerodynamic, but that position, it's not efficient from the power. If you're looking at the power, then you need to find that balance between very good aerodynamic, but you're also comfortable in that position to push as many watts as you can. And then for everybody who have a chance to do a bike fitting, that's the first thing, to find your proper sitting position on the bike, to find how you pedaling, breathing also on the bike, and everything else. It's really, really important.
You brought then I think Joao has a question, but you brought a really nice topic, which is, you know, people that smash with power, but maybe they are not as efficient. So, you know, sometimes there is this misunderstanding in athletes where they are like, oh man, I was pushing so much power, but then you're not a good cyclist because you cannot corner, you cannot pedal properly, and so you're wasting a lot of energy in there. So this one we see every day, especially with triathlon. What is the, for triathletes, what does it change for the cycling? You know, we were talking about a little bit triathletes and pure cycling.
This is very, I'm going to ask Bojan to answer, but I always see that, and it takes time for us to understand, I think in all sports, the power production, the way you produce that certain speed, you know, because at the beginning, if you are a strong person, if you've been doing sports a lot, you think that the harder you do, the better is going to come out, the result. And then at some point you cannot do harder. So you start to try to look into something that Bojan mentioned now, that the cycling efficiency. And I think that's how you produce power. How you, like when he mentioned, like what is your optimal cadence, how you produce certain speed. Because if you talk about triathletes, we spoke about something related to running last time, that if you produce power in a more strength way, like low gear or heavy cadence, or low cadence, heavy gear, you're most probably going to have a lot of problem to run off the bike. So I think this is because the bike, when you sit on the bike, it's very easy to think that if you push hard, if you pedal very strong, you're most probably gonna move fast. And then, yes, but there is a consequence. And I think that's what Bojan can bring to us.
Probably one night stand, one race, you can do the same power with different ways. But when you go to triathlon, there is a way to be much more efficient where you could pay the cost. Is that like this in cycling?
Yeah, but most of the people, they're asking about the cadence. What is best cadence? I think there is no best cadence. Optimal cadence, we can say optimal, should be between 80 and 95. If you're pedaling more than 95 RPM, then you're pedaling in too easy gear, and then you're pedaling too fast. But if you're pedaling also too slow,
regardless the wind?
Regardless the wind. Optimal cadence for everybody is different, but should stay like
in this range.
what I saw in last 20 years from myself and from my clients. It's between 80 and 95. If you go below 80, like you said now, you're pushing too heavy gear, you're burning your muscles, and then especially in triathlon, you can kill your legs, and then you will not be as fresh as possible for running after that cycling. And I found out that 80 to 95 RPM is like optimal cadence, and then it depends from person to person, like everything else. I like to push a little bit heavier gear, and most of the time I'm doing around 80 RPM, but I have some clients that are easily doing good power, like high power at 95 cadence, and it depends on the person.
My dream.
And mechanics completely different from individual to individual.
What do you think? Because when people bike when you're a kid, you have that normal bike that is the pedal, you have your running shoes, you have your shoes, and then you sit on the bike and you push and you wait the pedal to come back up, and then you ride the bike. You have no idea of the pulling movement of the bike. So then the guy buy a very expensive bike, best cleats, best bike shoes, everything is light, and he's still only doing the pushing. He just bring the pedal down, and he doesn't do any effort to bring the pedal up. Do you see a lot of this? Do you think that people understand why they have to do both? How do you see this? Because I'm sure you coach a lot of people, and this is an important way of produce power as well.
Yeah, it's really important, and that's why we're having those shoes, because you're attached with your bike and you're able to do 360 degrees full pedaling, pushing and pulling phase. And also, if you see some hole or something on the road, you can easily jump with your bike and escape that what you will see on the road. And that's why we're having those shoes. And most important is for producing more power, of course, pushing and pulling. But most of the people, beginners, and I saw some people who are not beginners, they're cycling for a few years, their pedaling technique is really, really bad. I'm seeing that almost every day in our indoor studio, and this is the good thing. On indoor trainer, you can really, really find is your pedaling technique correctly or no. Especially here in our studio where we are doing power-based workouts, and the system is giving you power, you just need to keep pedaling. And a lot of times you can hear from some people the noise coming from the bike like tuk, tuk, tuk. That means they have that small gap, and that small gap is usually happening at the lower phase of the crank, of the pedal, when they're going from pushing to pulling. That area, that degree, it's let's say bad. They don't have that 360 degrees, like I said. They have less, of course. And there is a workout that I used to do when I started 20 years ago cycling on indoor.
You don't need to say your age, don't worry.
Of course, I'm not that old. And there is one workout that everybody can do it at home if you have an indoor trainer. You remove one leg from the pedal. You put a chair next to the bike, you put that leg on the chair, and you're pedaling with the opposite leg. Actually, this is single leg pedaling, and this is how you can see if you are pedaling like correctly 360 degrees or no, and then you change, of course.
And the chair is a good trick, because I always struggle where I'm gonna put my other leg.
And
now I know.
It's a balance workout.
This is skills workout, let's say, skills. You have a lot of things in cycling. It's not only about you go outside and cycle. Imagine football players, they go out on the field and they just kick the ball, They have speed training, they have strength training, they have technique training, they have tactic training, they have a lot. And cycling as well, you have a lot of things that are making the cycling, especially if you're an athlete. And this workout that I gave you now, it's really good. If you have indoor trainer, you can practice. If you feel you have that gap, maybe sometimes your fitting on the bike is not good, biomechanic. You're not sitting properly on the bike and you cannot do that 360 degree pedaling. Maybe you need to change something in your position on the bike, but most of the time people just need to learn how to push and pull. You have both phases in pedaling, and that's really important. And on that way, when you practice that, you can produce, of course, more power. And also there is one more skill training. This is high cadence drills that I'm giving to my beginner clients, and they think it's a sprint, but it's not actually sprint, or mostly flat road or slightly downhill road. You put like small gear, it's really light, and you're just pedaling as fast as you can for 30 seconds. Why do you think
it's a sprint?
Because they see high cadence, and most of them at the beginning they put a big gear and they try to as fast they can for 30 seconds or 20 seconds, as fast as they can, but on the big gear. But the goal is opposite. You are in the small gear and you're pedaling as fast as you can, and the goal is you need to do those 360 degrees pedaling really good, and you don't want to jump on the saddle. You don't want to move your upper body. You need to fix your hips, your glutes, sit really tight on the saddle, be steady in the upper body, and only legs are working really fast. At the beginning, try to go around 120 RPM to be steady, and later when you improve your technique, then go faster. I remember back in the days when I managed to go almost 200 RPM for like 10-15 seconds. Wow. Like really fast. You can see that from the track cyclists. They're really fast. They have one gear. If you saw before track cycling how they start really slow on the big gear, and then the goal is, especially if it's short distance sprinting, to speed up as much as they can. And like phases in running, you have phases like start, acceleration, and holding that speed, and then they're able to hold that high cadence for a long time, and that's really important. And like we're coming now to beginning of your question, that's why it's important to do, if you can, all disciplines of cycling. It's really well known that mountain bikers, they have really good technique of pedaling. Why? Because we used to pedal. I'm still pedaling. I was professional mountain biker on uneven terrain. You have a lot of holes up and down all the time, and there you really practice how to pedal. The terrain is changing, the momentum is changing, like you said, and you're going in 1 meter slightly uphill, then downhill. And you need that proper technique, and you will learn a really good pedaling technique on mountain bike.
So you recommend to people that they add once a week if you're starting?
If they have a mountain bike, or if they can borrow a mountain bike, or they can rent a mountain bike here on Hata. I think now even on Alcudra. At the beginning they can start riding around the lakes on Alcudra. Later they can go on Hata. It's really good mountain biking, because you will learn good pedaling technique. You will learn how to change the gears properly, because the terrain is changing all the time. You're going up and you're going down, and your cadence, like I said, should be optimal all the time, 80 to 95. Doesn't matter if you're going uphill or downhill, and you need to change the gears all the time. Also, you will practice that downhill sections, which can be really extreme and hard, and you can relax more on the bike when you.
Well, what about, sorry, what about the climbing and standing on the bike? What do you think? I know it varies because the slope can be a little bit higher, and but what do you recommend the cadence should be, or any any advice that you can give for somebody who wants to climb Jebel Jais?
Climbing, yeah, I forgot that thing I wanted to mention. Also, like people have bad technique of, they don't have this 360 degrees of pedaling, pushing, pulling. I see here in our studio and also outdoor, if I go to ride around Hatta, Shoka, and Jebel Jais, they doesn't know how to pedal while they are standing. They need to relax also upper body, and they need to also push and pull the pedals. And most of the time, you can see they're struggling. There is a lot of that gap, like I explained for a pedaling technique. There is a lot of gap, but this, as I realized on here, on indoor, it's happening on the upper phase of the pedaling, from going from pulling to pushing. They have like big gap. You can just hear in the studio easily. You can hear the tuk, and you can see from their legs they're not moving evenly. They're not moving smoothly. It's just boom, 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 boom. Like there is no smoothness.
It might be hurting you.
And they just need to relax the hips and upper body, and to feel, the pedal all the way 360 degrees. And about the cadence, depends of the, like you said, Mohammed, depends of the gradient of the climb. Jebel Jais is not that tough. It's around 5%, I think, average. I mean, for us, it's not hard, but for some people, it's hard. And your cadence will be lower than on the flat. That's of course because the gradient is harder. But you want to change. This is the question that I'm getting most of the time. Like, coach, how should I pedal uphill? Like you're driving the car. Okay, most of the cars here in UAE are automatic, but back home in Europe we have manual. And also, like, you're driving on the flat, like 4th, 5th gear. But if you start climbing, you need to change easier gear, 3rd, maybe even 2nd, when the climb is starting to be really, really steep. Also on the bike, you're changing the gears until you find proper cadence for you, what is again optimal for you, and to keep that power if the coach gave you some power to hold. And that's the goal, changing the gears and finding the proper gear for you, and finding the proper cadence, what's optimal for you. Like I said, it's different for everybody, but on the climb, of course, it will go below 80, especially if the climb is really, really steep.
I really like the single leg workout. It's one of those workouts where the athlete recognize right away what you were saying. This is a defect. Now, how to fix it? You need to focus really on your form and your technique to make it this thing round. And
because you have the dominant leg and then the other leg that is just kind of following, but that difference of power shouldn't be that huge gap. We have now the ability on Training Peaks to analyze which leg, with the power meter, right? Which one is pushing more, is getting more power. So sometimes time to time you get a client that has that huge gap of 60% and then 40%. So that's a big problem there, because it might lead to an injury, or he's wasting a lot of energy in one of the legs.
If he's a triathlete, then he's creating an asymmetry, and then when he goes running, maybe have another problem.
It can be from the hip, so we have to analyze that. And I think what Coach Bojan has mentioned is exactly. So what I'm learning here is that when you talk about cycling, you have a lot of skills that people should learn before they start to think that they can join groups, cycling fast, racing, and then being big pelotons, because it's really dangerous, and we can talk about this later. But so now we see that there is a process of someone that wants to start to cycling, from bike fitting to skills, to learn how to produce power, to learn how to use the gears, and then you can say, okay, now I will join this group of 20 people, and then I will learn how to ride in the group. Then after, you're gonna learn how to actually race and stuff,
It's a step by step. Okay, let's take 30 seconds break. When we come back, I think Coach Mohammed has a question for Coach Bojan.
Usually when a person is stressed and they're trying to work on healthier habits, and that's what happens to most of us, is we try to work on healthier habits, but we have certain internal stressors that prevent us from developing those good habits. So we get stressed, and then we stop. So my job is to intervene right at the point where they start and where they stop, so they can continue. So I'm giving them the power and the tools to continue to build these healthy habits long term.
We are back with Chat with our coaches. We spoke about technique. We spoke about really good topics about beginners and development of cyclists, which is not just going for a ride in a peloton, but is building skills and getting step by step to the point that we can recognize, okay, we can step to the next level. Okay? But I think Coach Mohammed has a question for Bojan now.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Coach Bojan, for your knowledge. I think you have a lot to offer us coaches and athletes. The question is, so a lot of athletes are wondering, like, what are the most common cycling injuries, and how do you see us as coaches and athletes preventing people from getting injured from cycling?
Yeah, this is a good question. Thank you first for your nice words. We are happy in cycling that there is not too many like injuries that you can get actually from cycling, like in other sports. But one of the most common injuries is if you crash. Of course, most of the time when you crash, you go over the handlebar and you will fall down on either left or right side, and most of the time that's shoulder. And then when you hit the road, tarmac especially, if you're riding a road bike, you will break your collarbone. And that's one of the most common injuries these days in the cycling, but this is when you crash. And other thing, it's like it's not from crashing, but most of the beginners and some people, they can feel lower back problem, lower back pain, maybe upper back in the shoulders. But now we're coming to the point where strength training is really important for endurance athletes, cyclists and triathletes, because during the cycling, okay, you are improving your lower body, you're building your muscle endurance in the legs, you're improving your cardiovascular endurance, which is heart and lungs, but also you need to work on your upper body. More your upper body is stronger, you can also produce more power on the bike. A lot of researchers are saying that strength training in the gym 2 to 3 times per week for endurance athletes is improving cycling performance and also running performance, even more for runners than the cyclists. And that's why you need to do, like I said, 2 to 3 times some strength training, a lot of core exercises, because everything is coming from the core. Core is everything, our mid part of the body, everything below the rib cage and down to the glutes, front area, like abs, deep muscles in your stomach, then also your lower back, there is a few important muscles, and glutes also. And if you're doing now, depends of the discipline you're doing in the cycling, let's say mountain bikers, I used to do a lot of exercises for shoulders, upper back, arms, because you have a lot of these extreme downhill sections where you are going downhill. Sometimes if you're doing marathon races, we climb up to the mountain like more than 30 minutes, but also then we need to go down, but that's long. It's not only 2-3 minutes, it's like sometimes 20 minutes going down, and a lot of bumps, a lot of rocks, a lot of roots, and everything, and you need to have a stronger upper body. And also for triathletes and road cyclists, core is really important. It will help you not to have that lower back pain or injury prevention. Injury prevention is the big thing in the sport and for athletes, because if you're doing some really important exercises that you cannot do on your sport, you cannot do during the cycling, you cannot do during the running, you need to improve some small muscle groups to strengthen that small muscle groups that are really important for injury prevention. And if your body is stronger, you can just last longer. You can last longer on the race. Your career can be longer, and that's why the strength training is super important.
Then you want to go into this, because then the misconception of gym and then strength training, because it's everything. The more you learn, the more you go into the details of everything, not only sports in your life, the more you're gonna figure out that there are some difference between a normal gym workout, a sports workout, a yoga workout, or a functional training workout. In this case, what we do at BR. So I want to ask Bojan, that knowing his background, which is years of experience, what he saw the change between the strength training from when he started and then now the new methodologies of functional training for sports and being applied to cycling. How did you see that the transformation of the strength, while before maybe it was more like a gym workout and then moving into maybe heavy weights, or I don't know, did you see a change, or how did you see that?
Yeah, I saw really big change. I can say that strength training in the gym just bring myself like 5 steps up, in my performance. As a kid, I was really skinny. I was always the smallest in my school, the skinniest. That's my genetics. And when I started the cycling, I was of course the same, and then I started reading books about training. When I started cycling, we didn't have many coaches. Actually, we didn't have any coach. we had few people who did some, not certifications, but did some coaching summits, and they got some
What
experience.
Year was
I actually now these days will be exactly 20 years when I joined my first club. Like 2001, I joined my first mountain bike club back home in my home city. Then I started riding that year 2001, just like some hobby class, like recreational people. Then 2002, I was a junior, second year of junior. I was 18 years old, and I started to be good. And then I think that winter we got a book that probably everybody knows from Joy Friel, one of the first books of Joy Friel. I think the first one, Mountain Bike Bible. And I didn't know 5 words of English, and the book was in English, of course. We used to learn Russian in our school, and I asked my team manager. Actually, he was the boss of that club that I joined, and he was like a coach, and he was telling us some things that he learned of those summits, coaching summits. Like, can you give me the book, and I will start to read and try to translate. And then on the table, on one side there was a mountain bike Bible, on the other side was a dictionary, in English to Serbian, and everybody was laughing at me like, Bojan. They call me Bojan Bible. At that time it was really funny. But then after 1 year I started winning every race in 2003. I said I was June in 2002, and that winter 2002 to 3, we got the book. I started reading, and I moved to higher category, under 23 seniors, below 23 years old, and first half of the season I was still struggling to find the form. And that year, that winter, I already started, I think, strength training. But big improvement I saw the year after, 2004, where I won all the races in Serbia, and I got some muscle mass, but I became really, really, really strong. Like I told you, I won all the races, mountain bike races in my country. I
All
won,
the races?
Yeah, I won Balkan Championship, which is like, it was huge for us. Balkan is southeast area of Europe, around 7-8 countries like Greece, Romania, Bulgaria. If you don't know geography, but and that was all for the people who are not from Europe, maybe don't know. And
But was it the book? Was it the book, or was it your friends, picking on you, telling you, Bojan, the Bible, or was it the book? Which one triggered you more?
you like to push more or to train?
What made you just like explode?
Oh, when I said, when I joined the club 2001, I was, reading those magazines, mountain bike magazines, because that days I was riding only mountain bike. I was imagining, I'm racing one day on World Cup level, on World Tour level, and like I told you, I was all my life I was in the sport, but I never pushed myself too much. And then I found in cycling some passion, big passion. And immediately in 2002, when I moved to junior category, I said I want to be champion. And this is the big thing for everybody. You need to first you need to dream, then you need to set the goals, but the right goals. Step by step. I set the goals. Okay, I want to win one race. When I won first race, then I was like, okay, I want to win national championship. When I won national championship, then that year I was really, really close to podium of Balkan championship race, really, really close. Then I said, oh man, I can do this, I'm really, really close. Let's prepare for the next year. And that winter, 2003 to 2004, I didn't skip any gym session. I was training 2 to 3 times in the gym. But
By yourself or with your coach?
by myself. I was reading, at that time I was just getting all the informations from Anti-Bike Bible from Joy Freer. All the information.
awesome.
All information.
That's
But
great.
We're gonna tag
just
him for
to,
this
just to,
podcast, okay?
That's crazy.
just to remind you that I didn't know the English. I was translating from the dictionary, and trying to translate, the whole book. The whole book is 300 something pages. I forgot how many now. But I was reading there. You have the sections about physiology of training, about technique of mountain biking.
I find it difficult reading it in English.
Yeah, and you have everything about nutrition. You have everything how to do a periodization of the season, how many hours you need to ride per year, how many hours you need to ride per week, and I also need to tell you that I was working full 8-9 hours that time. I had the job. I finished high school. I didn't start university at that time. I was working and training, and I remember. Sorry, I'm going really wide now, but I think it's a good story, for people to understand what you need for this sport. This sport, it's not easy, and I was reading everything from that book. I got all the informations, and when I started the gym, I saw a lot of improvement. My body was changing, of course. I got some muscle mass, but as I told you, I was super, super skinny while I was a kid, Everybody, when they look me in the gym now, they're like, oh, coach, I want to have your quads. I want to have your calves, I have strong legs, but all that happened from the gym. Okay, the cycling and triathlon, they're not bodybuilding, Not everybody wants to, but at that time, I gained just a little bit, like 2-3 kilograms of muscle mass, but that muscle mass helped me a lot. Helped me really, really a lot. I had a really strong body, and I was able to push much more power on the bike, and I was more stronger for the mountain bike, as I told you already. which is important for downhill sections. You know, your upper body needs to be strong because the races in mountain bike are between 90 minutes and 120 minutes, between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. You're all the time riding over the rocks, off road, up and down, and your body needs to be super strong. Like these days also, if you're a triathlete, especially you're doing long distance, you're doing half Ironman or full Ironman, your body needs to be strong because, example, you're doing full Ironman, you need to sit in that position on time trial bike for how much? 4 hours if it's flat course, 180 kilometers?
A little bit, 5 hours.
Yeah, depends. Okay, we're talking
Normal
here to
people,
help
normal
the beginners. Okay, for the beginners, 5+ hours. You need to sit in that position 5+ hours. Your upper body needs to be perfectly strong. You need to be flexible to sit in that position. It's not only strength. You also have flexibility. You mentioned a few minutes ago yoga. Yoga is amazing for endurance athletes. Mobility sessions, recovery. Overall, what we're talking now, I can say a few things like, you see a lot of coaches posting now, on Instagram these days, Twitter, overrated things, underrated. Right now, from my experience, you heard me now, I started in 2001. Before that, I was riding for myself, enjoying recreational cycling 2 years before I joined the club, 2001. But from my experience, overrated these days, super light bikes, ceramic speed, the pulleys for the back derailleur, and underrated structure plan of training and recovery. Most of the people are not giving enough time for recover, and they're not giving time for recovery methods. I'm pushing my clients all the time, don't forget recovery. It's not only about the training. Recovery methods are also part of the training, not only pushing hard. If you recover faster, you're able to repeat the hard session sooner, and that's the goal. And that's why people need to do more recovery methods like stretching after the workout, 10 minutes, mobility, yoga, massage 1 or 2 times in 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that. And
wow,
Very good.
what a journey, man.
Wow,
Thank you for
okay,
sharing.
that was like
Thank you for sharing.
quick and short, but there is a lot more stories. But I hope the people will understand all of this what I said.
We're gonna finish?
Yes?
No?
No.
Okay. Okay. So you're gonna have to come back next time. You need to talk to him more.
Okay, let's take 30 seconds break, then we come back for the conclusion of this episode. Welcome back to Chat with BR Coaches, guys. Wow, what a journey, yours has been. Okay. I think Joao has a question for Bojan.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad that we could get to know more and more of Coach Bojan. I think everybody. It's very nice to see because he's a guy that he doesn't need to talk too much. He respects people and he understands that the community around is just starting, and he's observing the movement of cycling and respecting the space of everybody. But you can see how much he knows about. And I think one important thing for me, it's as I know. As a coach of BR, like from many years, we always get sometimes some feedback from clients. We always have some questions, and I think as a coach, what I learned is it's a both ways. So the process of coaching, it's as important for me as it is for my clients. How much my athlete wants, it's the same level that I want. Right? So if my client does not update the training peaks, does not provide feedback on training peaks, does not commit with the training, the commitment of the coach is going to be probably similar, because it's a kind of investment, right? So I think on the cycling, because Training Peaks was built for cyclists, and then it moved to other sports. What do you see as clients they understand of the data that they do on Training Peaks and how they request from you? Because there are many numbers there and some factors that they are more important than others. So do you see that people understand that data and how to use, or do you think they either focus too much on the numbers and forget to enjoy, or how do you see that as a coach?
It's really simple. I mean, all of them, they want to see, power is decreasing, and they want to see those, okay, on this workout you have all-time best, or this year best, 5 minutes power, 10 minutes FTP, new personal best, and they're focused on that, on that. But like you said, it's both ways. Then every time when I have a consultation with a potential client, I told them, like, I need your feedback. This is actually coaching. We are not just giving training plans and you go training by yourself. Because when you're only buying training plans, you are by yourself. And if it's something happen in the middle of your block of training that you bought, you're again stuck like you was before without training plan, because you don't know where to continue, and it's really hard. If you miss some sessions, okay, where to start now? But here, where you have a coach, it's just simple. You send a message, okay, coach, I didn't feel good, I didn't ride for 3 days. Then the coach will analyze again, okay, how much have you been sick? Okay, is it like big flu? You was in the bed? Okay, let's do 2-3 days easy again, and then continue where we started, where we stopped actually. And that coaching, it's really, really important. And then you have some people who are really, really interested. As you can see from my story, from young ages, I was really into that, reading books, and this is how I actually became a coach. And then I have some clients who are really, really interested in all those numbers you can see on Training Peaks. They're checking all the time. They're writing long feedbacks, long follow-ups, like, okay, coach, I did all 4 intervals. I was feeling on the first one like this, second, third, fourth, everything. And then you have some like you said, they're not writing anything. We are not getting feedback from them. But at the beginning, I explained them, like, it's really important. Only 2 to 3 times per week, you give me a feedback. Like when you have really, really important sessions, some interval sessions, it's really important for me to know, how did you feel? Okay, I gave you example 5 intervals. You did all 5. How did you feel? For me, it's not enough to see, okay, you pushed all 5 in the zone that I gave you. You pushed everything. How did you feel?
Yes.
It was on your limit, or you could push a little bit more? Did you struggle, or it was okay? An example, some people, again, let's say 5 intervals, they do 4, but they didn't do 5th one. But I don't know, there is no feedback, And then we need to know as the coaches what happened on those sessions. Did you, for the client, you didn't sleep good, you was tired, too much fatigue from the previous days of the workout, from the training, or it's only, you didn't have time, you skip one, you cut the that last interval, and you finish the workout.
Yeah.
Those feedbacks are really, really important, because then we know if we need to reduce the workouts that we plan for the next week and week after. And people need to understand that all the workouts are in some order. When you see to design the program, they need to realize, this is a structured plan. When you come here, the BR, we do fitness assessment, actually cycling assessment, we do a test, FTP, or lactate test. We analyze your performance. Then we sit and do some consultation. Okay, for how long are you cycling now already? 1 year, only 2 months, or you have experience a lot of years. Okay, what is your goals? And all these things we put together, and then we design the proper workout. When we design this workout, this program should bring you to your goal. If you're skipping that some workouts, if you're not doing something right, you're not following, that's just putting you far away from reaching your goal. And people need to understand. This is one thing that I realized, that they need to understand. Like I said, the workouts are touching on each other. Let's say I'm trying to explain them simple. Like imagine each workout it's like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you skip the workout number 5. If that was the important session, like interval session, then after that it's not coming 6 anymore, 7 or 8. We need to repeat that session tomorrow if you're able, if you're okay, because those interval sessions are most important. Long rides also, and that's some issues and things that I see with some people, not all of them. Like I said at the beginning, some of them are following 100%, giving feedbacks, giving follow-ups. They're really, really motivated. Some of them, they're not that motivated. They skip some sessions, they skip some intervals, they send a message. Sorry coach, I skipped the session. Sorry coach, I couldn't do this. The people need to understand, it's not sorry for me, You don't need to say sorry to me as a coach. I'm here to motivate you. First of all, I'm here to give you the proper plan for your goals, what you want to achieve. I'm here then to push you to do those workouts, to motivate you, to give you everything that I know, my knowledge, how to reach that goals. But then it's all about the clients. You need to be motivated. You need to push yourself. It's if you skip the workouts, I will not get anything as a coach. We will not get anything as a coaches, But you will miss, you will miss your opportunity to reach your goals. That's why I'm advising everybody, like, push, the endurance sports are really, really hard, The coach will not be there when you go for your half Ironman, full Ironman, or some road race. There is no like in the middle of the race. Sorry, coach, I need to stop. You need to find that motivation to finish that race. It's for you. You're doing for yourself at the beginning. Okay, maybe you're doing for your family or somebody, to show them. But first of all, you're doing for yourself. You need to find how to enjoy that. It's hard, but you need to find how to enjoy it. And you're doing for yourself, and you need to push yourself. And we are here to help you with the proper training, the best training for your goals, and to motivate you when motivation is low for you. But at the end, it's about you.
Thank you very much, Bojan. This is really an eye-opening. So I think we can conclude this episode, and then we're gonna make another one for sure. Going into this.
Let's put more information for the men.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. But the things that we got today, guys, we give you some news. Cycling is not that easy. Okay, we need to learn step by step. It's based on skills. It's based on technique. It's based on strength. It's based also on the plan that your coach is giving you. And it's about setting realistic goals and try to achieve them. So pushing to get to those goals. I mean, as coaches, we can help you, of course, but this is something that you decide to do, and you need to push. You need to not skip your sessions. Really great chat, boy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed. I'll just all the people who are listening our podcast. I hope they will enjoy. I hope they will learn a lot of things from today's session. Not session, actually podcast. But okay, we can call it like a session.
It's a session. Yes.
And just follow us on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Send us questions if you have any question about training, and we can prepare the next podcast with some new answers for your questions.
It's perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You like this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Very good.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really good.